Hi everyone, welcome to another version of Correct Me If I'm Wrong. Today I want to talk about immigration. Most Canadians were shocked to find that there were these massive signs that were put up across the country that said stop mass immigration. They had a big picture of Maxime Bernier on them. I found them quite horrific and racist. And let me explain why. We do not have a mass immigration problem in Canada. I'd like to remind everyone, we're all immigrants. My ancestry is from Ireland. Other people in this country from Sri Lanka, the Philippines. You know, the founding people in our country were French and English, and of course with our indigenous communities. We're all immigrants. We don't have an immigration problem. And it's quite offensive that a so-called political party in this country would use that type of rhetoric to frighten people. The problem that we do have in this country is an immigration system that has been poorly adjudicated by the Trudeau government. It's quite awful what they've done. They have allowed 43,000 what they're calling refugees to come in from the United States. Now, the United States is a democracy, and these people have queue-jumped the regular immigration process and cost our country billions of dollars and angered a lot of Canadians. They're just showing up at the border and walking in. Meanwhile, people who have waited for years are pushed to the back of the line. That is the problem. Now, our government doesn't call these people illegal immigrants. They call them irregulars. Now, irregulars is a ridiculous term, and it sounds like something that you have if you need a laxative. You know, it's ridiculous. They're not irregulars, they're breaking the law. And the government, in allowing them to come in, is forcing other people to wait years. And a lot of them just get disenfranchised and go home. I'll tell you where there's a real immigration problem. Turkey. Turkey has a big immigration problem. They are hosting 3.4 million Syrians from the war in their country, taking care of it on their own dime, because the European Union will not give them the money, the 10 billion euros they promised to help them.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Canada is a gracious country. We took in Syrian refugees. We thought it was a good thing to do. It is a good thing to do. In the 2015 election, the election turned on a dime when a little boy was found dead on a beach in Turkey. It was tragic. The boy's family was on their way from Syria. They were trying to make their way coincidentally to Vancouver, where they had family members. They'd been adversely affected by the war, and it came out during that period that Canada had only taken in just over 200 Syrian refugees. And people were outraged. There were a lot in the queue, and at the time, the Harper government was suggesting that we couldn't bring more people in for security reasons. Well, of course, that's ridiculous. We could do more, and the Trudeau campaign at the time was right to suggest that we could do more. In fact, even former Chief of the Defense Staff Rick Hillier said that we could easily handle 100,000 Syrian refugees if we really wanted to. The point is that Canadians felt in their hearts we weren't doing enough to help people who were suffering. So the election literally turned on a dime. I would make the case that Stephen Harper lost that election to Justin Trudeau because he appeared to be so insensitive to such a shocking situation. Part of what Harper said at the time was true, that we had to have rules to adjudicate our immigration process. But we've gone now from one extreme to another, where we had Justin Trudeau come in, we brought in a whole bunch of refugees, which is fine. But then in addition to that, he allowed these so-called refugees coming up from the United States to queue-jump everything, and it just created chaos in our immigration system, costing us billions of dollars. Now we find that of the immigrants that have come in under Justin Trudeau, 14% of them are out in the street or are living in homeless shelters. Now that is disgraceful, and that should not be allowed to happen. But what it tells you is that the people running the immigration department are not doing their job. We need to ensure that when immigrants come here, they're coming here as part of an orderly system, and that when they come here, we have support systems in place. We should also revisit our immigration system to look at things we can do to alleviate things on the other side. One thing our government could do to alleviate a lot of the pressure would be to set aside a bunch of money and give it to the Red Crescent in Turkey to help them with their problem over there. And maybe we should be ensuring that the United States is meeting their obligations and not just allowing people to freely cross our borders to come here. They should be in the United States, and we should allow the regular immigrants who want to come to our country come here. It's really important that we understand what an immigrant is and what a refugee is. A refugee is a displaced person who has no country to go to. They literally need a place to land. An immigrant is someone who chooses, for many different reasons, some can be economic, some can be familial, to come to Canada. Refugees are processed differently. But the money, it's all one taxpayer, it's all one immigration budget. So it's really important when we are allowing refugees to come in here that they are in fact real refugees. People coming from the United States to Canada are not refugees. The United States is a democracy and they have their own system. So you have to be persecuted to come here if you're a refugee. And if you're not persecuted, you don't get to come here under that refugee banner. You have to get in the queue and line up like everyone else as an immigrant. Maxime Bernier is clever. He's clever in a way that is disturbing because what he tries to do to be a boogeyman and scare people. Oh, we have mass immigration. We have people coming in across the border. We have a security threat. We don't have any of that. And people need to think about that. But you know, I've met a lot of the Syrian refugees. Most of them want to be at home or go back home or hope one day to go back home.
يعني الواحد بيرجع لوطنه وآخرته يرجعوا على وطنه والحمد لله تحسن الوضع هناك يعني.
But the last thing we need to do is to discourage immigration in this country. Immigrants contribute a lot to the fabric of this country. And correct me if I'm wrong, if we didn't have immigrants, we wouldn't be allowed to flourish as a country in our energy sector. We wouldn't have the necessary requirements we need for healthcare. We have a lot of Filipino people who come here with healthcare services that they provide personal attendant care. So I would caution everyone as we're into an election to keep everything in check and to remember where your family came from before you turn around and start supporting very, very dangerous rhetoric on immigration. So this is the problem, and the Trudeau government has done a massive disservice to our country by completely screwing this up. And they are wasting mass amounts of public money. We've had to send the RCMP down to adjudicate these matters at the border because of this process by the Trudeau government. And it really is something that needs to be cleaned up because what it does is it affects the fabric of our immigration system and the confidence people have that the immigration system is being properly and fairly run. And when people feel it's not, they want to stop immigration because they feel that there's something wrong happening. So really, the Trudeau government, by their mismanagement of the immigration file, is really affecting our core beliefs in immigration. And that's why we need to clean it up. Thank you.